The basic, as I mentioned before, the basic platform is the K platform. The wheelbase is increased about 0.8 inches, and most of that went in the front floor pan area, so there's a little bit more room in the front for moving back and forth. The overall package for the second row in the trunk is a little bit bigger than the outgoing car, but it's not a huge amount, about 0.2 inches on each side. The car is also a little bit wider, so there's a little bit more shoulder room. The couple distance has been pushed out a little bit. The main design icon elements are the trapezoidal DLO, this black upright pillar. So the idea behind design is to have this wraparound glass effect. And when you see it from afar, the first thing you notice is that very kind of graphic trapezoidal shape for the DLO. The main difference on the design I mentioned in my presentation is that they worked very, very hard on improving the surfacing, so it looks a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more nuanced. If you move around the car, you can see some different lines. If you remember the old car, it was very geometric. It was just very kind of flat, almost like an F-111, you know, just kind of very chamfered.
So you got a little character down here. Is that new?
That's new. The old one had almost like I call it reverse Mustang. You know, the Mustang went back. Ours had it going forward, so that one's been removed. So the surfacing is a little bit more higher quality and sophisticated. I also mentioned about the new assembly technique. They went to a different kind of hitch molding specifically because of the panel roof. And when you don't get the panel roof, you have the ability to put a new dealer installed roof rack just by it's preloaded in there. The set screws are in there. You just pop up very much like an Audi or a Porsche. Let's see what else. Some of the other features we have going forward. We still have our two-tier system in the back for storage. This one has a tire maintenance kit. We don't have a spare tire in it, but when you lift this up, it'll fit underneath there. And the big difference between the two different grades, we call this a tusk bumper because the original concept was a bore with a backpack. So the one in the front, if you notice, there's like a protrusion on the lower portion, and it carries over to the rear. And the idea is it's supposed to have this kind of, the old one had like a backpack design that was in the middle. It kind of popped out. So this by far is the biggest change on the new car. Is the rear graphic is completely different. It still has kind of vestiges of the backpack look, but the overall look is this kind of black mask with the privacy glass and the LED tail lights. So they were going for one angle of the vehicle that really had a distinct difference from the outgoing one. Because if you look at it from the side and the front, it looks almost like the old car. But when you walk around back, this kind of high-tech look is really what they felt was the biggest difference too.
Is this contouring here where you got a little more, pronounced wheel arch? Is that new?
That's new also. The other one was very wheel-centric also, but it wasn't as pronounced.
When you say they, you mean the designers, right?
The designers, that's correct. And also the other one, the line around the wheel was a lot more pronounced. It was very kind of distinct, very geometric, and almost like it was added on. In this one, you can look across the car at the parking lot. It's a lot more nuanced. And the overall, if you look at the car from a rear three-quarter, the car just looks a little bit more planted. It's got a really wide stance. The wheels fill out the wheel well very nicely. And as you move down the side of the car, it kind of bumps out. So it has this kind of really tough look to it. And it feels almost that you can see the one backing up. It has this really kind of tough look to it. Very stable. The angle of this backlight also on the old car was pushed forward a little bit more. So there was a lot of work that, if you notice, there's a real slight radius. In order to keep from having that real kind of bulky look to it, they nuanced that. And then also, we looked at a second version that had the cut line all the way up at the glass, and it was just too big. They couldn't figure out the hinge points. So we ended up putting a second panel in it.
What is it you refer to as a tusk? Is it this?
It's the one in the front. It's the one in the front. If you notice, it has like a little protrusion. This one is the Exclaim, so it's all color keyed, 100%. When you get down to the base model level, I think the
M Plus
also is not color keyed. It's just
black grain. Yeah.
Black grain.
Is the track wider?
It is marginally wider. The overall width of the car is 0.6 wider.
Right.
So the easy way to think about the car is it's a little bit longer, it's a little bit lower, and it's a little bit wider. And all of these very minimal increases in size have given the overall impression of a little more trackster-like stance. So it feels a little more bolted, a little more bolted to the ground.
Excuse my ignorance here, but the Traxxer, was that a concept?
We showed it in Chicago last year.
Oh, okay.
It's that red and white one.
So that's basically the car.
But these taillights are new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the old one, it was kind of a block, a rectangular block, and this one has this new graphic. And if you're behind it in traffic and someone hits the brakes, or if the lights are on, it's like two parentheses there on either side of the car. Very graphic. The idea was to give the car a real signature in the daytime and at nighttime.
Yeah.
Is this a